Hello, 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 good people. Hello, good people. I am Dr. Hollie Kelly, and this is Dr. Kelly's perspective for Thoughtful Thursday. Okay, I said I was not going to do a lot of extra commentary because I always run long on Thursdays, and I have a game changer. I have a game changer for Gunny. You'll like this one. I have a game changer for everyone with any responsibility of leadership, any platform of influence. Okay, I promise you, this is a game changer. It is this week's selection is Micro Messaging by Stephen Young. Okay, here it is, Micro Messaging by Stephen Young. You know, I'm a big fan of audiobooks. I couldn't do this one audio. This one I need to have in my hands to be able to go back to quick, fast, and in a hurry. Okay, so because it's so good, this impact. Thank you for all who are joining me. Thank you for all who are jumping in. There are no relationships in our life. Personal relationships, professional relationships, auxiliary relationships, just look, everything is impacted by micro messaging. And if you've never heard that term or the terminology, you absolutely, even if you couldn't name it, you absolutely have given some and been impacted. So I need my peepers. Okay, cute and blind do not match. So we're going to delete the blindness for the reading. Okay, again, so Micro Messaging by Stephen Young. I have this excerpt that I have to read to you, so I just need to get with the program. But the most damaging outcome of micro iniquities is that we never really know an individual's unfettered potential. But micro advantages, those positive micro messagings, you already hear the definition, micro messaging. Okay, because even his subtitle, Why Great Leadership is Beyond Words. We don't ever need to think that just because, well, I said it didn't. I said I was sorry. So you can say the words verbally, but every single one of us have been in a position where we've received an apology that you knew. You could be deaf. You could be completely deaf and know that was not real. It was just not real, because so much of how we communicate is through facial expressions and tone, and a raised eyebrow makes a difference. And okay, so I'm doing what I said I was not going to do. So micro advantages, positive micro messaging, do quite the opposite. Micro advantages act as catalysts that unleash potential and results. I'm talking this week's Thoughtful Thursday of Micro Messaging by Stephen Young. Okay. So Dr. Rowe, what is her first name? Dr. Rowe, who did a tremendous amount of studies, put it this way: the mechanisms of prejudice against persons of difference, however usually small in nature, are not trivial in effect and can be especially powerful and damaging taken together. When I'm doing trainings, a lot of times I'll ask the audience, the participants, who, despite a smile, despite the right words, who in your gut can tell if somebody doesn't like you? Just raise your hands. Typically 100% of the audience can raise their hands, because no matter how you're saying things, or no matter the words that you're saying, people know in their gut whether or not you're being sincere, whether or not you really like them or not. That's part of what perhaps we haven't been able to put a name with, micro messaging. Those are part of the micro messages. I have this book so inked up, because micro messages reveal what's behind our masks, including hidden assumptions that connect underachievement in the workplace. In the workplace, in the home place, in the church place, in the fill in the blank. Wherever there are relationships, micro-messaging comes into play with micro inequities or micro advantages. Again, I'm talking micro messaging by Stephen Young for this Thoughtful Thursday. And I'm telling you, I am telling you, it's a game changer, especially if not just only if you're in the workforce, if you have relationships in any kind of way, it's impacting your bottom line. Okay, so let me get to the part because, oh my goodness, see, this time just flies way too quick on Thoughtful Thursdays. Let me give you the perfect, what I'm going to call the perfect excerpt. So the author was talking to one of his children, and he relays this scenario, what happened to him. I want to keep that flashing. Micro messaging. My daughter and I were discussing a friend of hers whom I admit I'm not terribly fond of. When I made some comments that were actually quite harsh about her friend, my daughter looked at me with daggers and said, "Dad, that was obnoxious, and I can't believe you said that about her. If she had heard it, she would be devastated. I'm personally insulted by it, and you should apologize." So maybe it was a little harsh, but I don't really like her. I looked at my daughter and waved my hand in the middle of my chest and said, "Fine, Alex. If you were offended by that, then I'm sorry, okay?" And she looked at me and said, "Did you hear all those micro inequities?" And so he said, "Well, run it down for me, Alex." Now listen to this because this is how insidious it is, but how impactful it is. I'm talking micro messaging. We've all been the recipient and the deliverer at times. So this is what she said, spot on. First of all, who, if they were sincere and genuine about an apology, would ever start off with a big sigh and the word fine? And what's all that movement with your hands? Don't let me leave out the expression on your face. Your facial muscles are telling me everything about what you're really thinking, and that is so true. So even when we get the words right, our facial expressions are telling the truth. She goes on to say, and who would ever end a real apology with the words, "okay"? That tells me you're just saying it to get me off your back, not because you really mean what you're saying. And oh yeah, the best part was that word in the middle of your so-called apology. And he asked, "What word?" She said, "if." Dad, no one ever uses the word if they genuinely mean it. Then she said, this is how we can all relate. If you were at one of those big conference tables in your office and knocked over someone's cup of coffee, would you ever turn and say, "If that caused you a problem, I'm sorry"? No. That's my commentary, the no. But if you knocked over the cup of coffee, your eyes, your facial expressions, your tone, your inflection, your hands, your head, the speed of your sentence would all say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And they would know that you meant it. In this case, I know that you didn't. And of course, she was right. This book is filled with all of those. Okay, so here, time is already up. But what I'm telling you is, especially if you are in the workplace, these micro messages are happening up, down, and laterally in our organizations, and they can impede productivity. Not can, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. Taken by themselves, they're so below the surface that if you were to bring them up, it would make you appear to be extremely super sensitive. When in actuality, it's the compilation and the combination and the piling on. They're so subtle, but the impact is felt tremendously throughout the organization, throughout the relationship, for everyone who's not working or in the workforce or in the workplace. Oh, that don't apply to me. I promise you it does. Because if you are in relationship, if you're in relationship. So that's my offering to you this Thursday. Micro messaging by Stephen Young. Game changer is what I'm telling you. If you're interested in all in getting the most out of a person and getting the most out of a team, out of your company, why great leadership is beyond words, micro messaging, Stephen Young. Game changer. That's all I'll just say. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for hopping on. Make it a thoughtful Thursday. And until then, until next time, take real good care of yourselves.